Okay. Looks like I'm back again. Oh man, 30 minutes. Well, all right. So this this took me about 8 hours total. 11 days. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Getting it down to 30 minutes, I guess that's nothing. What is this? Well, back in the old days, because I'm very old, there were wrestling figures that you could buy from LJN, big rubber wrestlers. And of course, I had a bunch as a kid, and you would get a poster with the figures. And so, in this QSMB process, one of the things I like to do is I like to write books. I've had other pen names over the years. I've sold lots of books. It's fun. I like writing. QSMB is supposed to be a celebration of all the things that I like to do. And so writing had to be part of it. And for a while, I was kicking around different ideas. There's definitely a series that will be launching called Hatchback of Justice, which has been in my brain since I was like 16 in different forms. And there'll be actually serious novels released. There'll be and other things, but QSMB to me is always about kind of pushing the boundaries for myself. And so one of the things is I've gone through a lot of pen names. I've sold a lot of books. I've done the writing thing. It's not great out there right now. So the big game obviously is Amazon. And the great thing is within 48 hours of completing a novel, you can have it up on Amazon to sell. That is unheard of in like the history of the world. To have the barrier to art be so low, it's crazy that you don't take advantage of it. You know, if you're an author, if you're someone that writes, friggin' write. Like, it's crazy that someone wouldn't be writing in this era, or really any art. So with that said, you know, I was around for the Wild West of like the rise of self-publishing, and it's a lot different now. You know, when you're in the Wild West of something, the market hasn't figured out how to squeeze every last penny from you. And so there's actually an opportunity for you to create money. That's not the case anymore. Amazon has it on lock. They have their Kindle Unlimited program, which is a waste of time for most authors, but it's really the only way to get noticed. So I'm gonna need drinks during this. You get paid pennies per page. Not even pennies. I'm sorry, pennies would be great. You get paid parts of a penny per page that people read on Kindle Unlimited. It's absolutely exploitive. But, oh, and you can't advertise anywhere else, of course. You can't have the book sold anywhere else but Amazon for the 3 months. And you usually have about 3 months for a book to be kind of as popular as it's going to be. There's always exceptions, but they've got the marketing tools, they've got the data, they know exactly how to squeeze what they can out of authors. I'm not saying I'm not going to play that game, but with QSMB, I was looking for more creative avenues. And the second thing is a lot of my ideas, as you've noticed, if you're a fan of QSMB in these early stages, QSMB isn't really normal. And And that's really going to, I can't even describe to you the future of QSMB, but if you think it's not normal now, it's not going to be normal in the future. And that's on design. You know, if the barrier to art is so low, then things that normally wouldn't have gotten through can get through. And there might be a whole argument as to whether or not they should get through. But you know, I think if your art is not destructive, in like not punching down, not being disrespectful to vulnerable groups, that sort of thing, then let the weirdness fly. So I knew that my ideas weren't going to sell. You know, if I make a romance book, I can put it up on Amazon and somebody will buy it. But if I put up wrestling with my life, wrestling with politics, it's not going to sell. It's not going to find an audience. You have to find the audience kind of elsewhere and lead them to the book. You can't just throw something out on Amazon now and just go, I hope somebody finds it, because very few genres can really do that. And I don't think anything that I write as an unknown is going to be able to do that. So all of this is to say, one of my goals going into QSMB was to do something different with the way that I was doing things. Because I wasn't particularly happy being pigeonholed into the same old way of doing things. You know, if I want to write a book, it's got to be so many words, so many pages, blah, 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 blah. I had this idea for Wrestling with My Life way back when, and I almost finished it. I think the first draft is like up to chapter 12 or 14 or something. It's very close to the end. And, you know, I was going to release it and just be like, hey, here you go. And it hit the muddy middles, and I realize now what the issue was, but I didn't know what the issue was back then. It just kind of went away. And so when I was thinking about QSMB and how to launch it and that sort of thing, I had about 6 episodes of that weird show and 2 episodes of So already done. I had some shorts done, but there was nothing that I was going to be able to do weekly or on a consistent basis that wouldn't require too much of my time. I have a full-time job. I have other commitments. This is like my 3rd full-time job. And it's very important to me, but it's also, you know, you only have so many hours. And so the reason why QSMB didn't launch is just I kept being an issue. And eventually I fell onto one thing that I do enjoy doing, and that is, you know, I grew up with wrestling. I love wrestling. And so, you know, the games come on sale, and I picked it up, and I've got myself my favorite 80s roster. And I tried to use Universe mode, but as anyone that has tried to use the 2K games knows, that Universe is just horrible. So, you know, I created everything that I could, and I went, well, here we go. I can do, because all I'm really doing is I'm just recording myself being the characters, right? I don't have to do too much editing on the other side. And so there we go. But the problem, of course, the problem and the opportunity is that people are going to think this is a wrestling channel, because that's what's going to be predominantly released, and especially in the early days. And so part of me, hopefully, has created I've written the script, and hopefully I have now recorded and it's now out there. The QSMB is more commercial, just to warn people that if all you were coming to QSMB for was wrestling, you're going to be disappointed. There's much more to it. And if you're someone that doesn't really care for the wrestling, perhaps view it in a different way, because it's not what the focus of this art project is. But there is an opportunity in the sense that what can I kind of, what is the word I'm looking for? I don't want to use the word synergize, because then I feel like I'm just becoming a corporate jackass. But kind of tag along with it. And so I found, because I wanted to release books and that sort of thing, and we can get into the book part of it another time. But I found this old story idea, Wrestling with My Life, and went, well, here we go. And reading it, I went, like there's a lot I want to do with this. So it's not going to be one book. And is there something else that I can do here? And I had made my kind of choice with Hatchback of Justice that it was going to be an ongoing serialization. And I thought, well, why can't I do that with this too? Make it almost like a roaming, sprawling manga epic, a road trip, whatever words you want to use. Definitely with a beginning, middle, and end. I definitely want to assure people that there is an ending to this. I know what it is, and I know where we're getting there. This isn't just going to go on forever and then just peter out one day. But I thought, well, that's cool. Okay. Now, the problem is trying to sell that on Amazon isn't going to... You're going to get lambasted you're going to get roasted in the comments. It's too short. It doesn't end. Blah, 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 blah. No matter how many warnings you put up, no matter how much you set the mood for what this actually is, nobody's going to care. They're just going to complain. So I thought, okay, well, what can I do differently? And so this is coming back to the painting we're seeing, I swear. Almost halfway through, and we haven't even talked about the painting. But I thought, okay, well, Fourth Wall gives me a very unique opportunity. And it's why I wanted to use them, and it kind of unlocked a lot of things with QSMB, because it allows me to kind of create a community. Sorry, you Discord lovers, but I can't keep up with Discord. I'm not going to create a Discord. So it allows me to do that. It allows me to sell merch, but it allows me to sell a wide variety. Like, it's not just, here's some tumblers with the QSMB logo on it. Like, the reason why, chances are, by the time this comes out, there's not a lot of merch is because I'm going to be waiting for feedback to see what people actually want, or waiting for creative ideas to pop into my head. A lot of times I look at the merch stores for people, and it's just like, I don't know who would wear that, or I don't know who would have that. It's either just branding, or it's such in-jokes. And I guess, maybe the audience of QSMB is going to teach me a lesson or two about that, but I'm just like, it's gotta be universal. Okay, I'm getting into the weeds here, and I am going to go off on. But the point is, Fourth Wall really adds that sense of, I can have like a Patreon, but I can also have the merch store. And so I can sell my books there. But again, we run into the same issue where, how can I justify a price point with a short book? And hey, you can justify it by going, I'm an independent, I'm getting, again, Fourth Wall allows a lot of the money to come to me, that sort of thing. But where's the value for the consumer? And where's the opportunity for me to push myself creatively? I've done selling books before, so you know, where's the new challenge? Where's the new creative break? And so that's when I thought, well, okay. Some people may disagree, but more people agree. I've got a really good voice. So it was without a doubt that you were going to get an audiobook. And I'm like, that's cool, but is there something more that I can push? Is there more that I can push myself with? And that's when I came up on the idea, because I've been really, I've been drawing since I was 6, but it's only been in the last 3-4 years, 3 years, 2 years, that I've gotten back into the digital painting scene and really given it a hard go. And gotten to the point where I'm like, okay, I like what I'm doing here. And I thought, okay, well, then here's your creative opportunity. Create exclusive art. Because, I do, 2 or 3 of these serials. I'm going to have enough, so-called words and pages that I could make it a legitimate book and put it up on Amazon. But what about the people who support me from the beginning? Who do buy at the price point? And that's when I went, okay, we'll create exclusive art for these books, and you'll kind of get it as a bundle. So then the idea, okay, so what? And that's when, I'm not sure where the idea came from, but it popped into my head back of those. This one really turned out well, and I don't know why. I think I just made it too small. I really like how this one turned out, and then just in the final, it just doesn't look so hot. Anyways, I remembered about those wrestling posters, and I went, oh, that's perfect, right? Because I'm never going to write the era that these wrestlers and this story is taking place. I'll let people kind of figure that out themselves. But, yeah, by the way, I worked on this beforehand. But I think people can kind of figure it out. And so, because it's kind of an old school wrestling and that sort of thing, then why don't we go with an old school wrestling aesthetic? And I could do those posters. And the ideas just poured in my head, because I went, oh, well, if I do the crowd, that's going to be really hard. Plus, I'm definitely cheating with these ropes here, by the way. I'm just changing the color. Then I can make it all, inside references. Here we go. And then I have a background that I've created, which is what we're watching. So this is the background, and then every time a new book comes out, I make a new character portrait and put it in the middle. And I went, oh, that's perfect. And so that's finally, 18 minutes in, that's what we're doing here. Now, I don't know. I knew that I couldn't make them super detailed because they're supposed to be the background. I'm also going to say I didn't intentionally make some of them as non-detailed, in my opinion, as they turned out. I'm happy with what I did. All art is never finished. It's just abandoned. So I'm not going to sit here and bemoan what I did, what I felt I did wrong here or there. I learned lessons. I moved on. But yeah, so I feel I'm not going to tell you who the people are. Let's see if somebody can figure it out. Some people may be able to figure out most of them, but due to my I don't want to say quickness with it, but I wasn't spending like hours on each person. So they're not as detailed. So you might not be able to get some of them simply because they may not look like who they're supposed to look like. That being said, the African American gentleman in the suit is a nobody. It started out, and I guess I'm going to give one away. It started out as Denzel Washington, young Denzel Washington, but it ended up not looking like him, and so I just kind of changed it and just bleh. And I'll let you decide if I went back and then redid Denzel in a different time frame. Anyways, at this point in my kind of painting career, like I'm using Krita, as you notice, and Photoshop to kind of put everything together. I'm just used to Photoshop that way. I had switched to, as you can see, wet paint with texture, and that's pretty much all I'm painting with. I had gotten pretty darn good at like a low flow, low opacity, soft brush in Photoshop. But the problem is it was turning too soft, and I wanted hard edges. And so I switched how I paint completely and just tried to learn how to do it. This isn't my first time, by the way. I've been painting this way for quite a few paintings. But it was around here, and kind of with the next painting I did, where I started. I don't know if this is going to be a take that I'm going to follow through with. This might just be one of those momentary takes. But I do feel that I need to change it up and switch around just to pick up, if that makes sense. So I did soft brush for a while. It was cool. I switched over here and just did harsh brushes. Even the wet texture mixture brush I use is like a harsh brush. And even then I tried not to use it, terribly too much. But I felt I wasn't progressing any further. Like, there's some of these that I did that I'm like, that's pretty good. It's pretty good. And some of them that I did where I'm like, you're getting lazy, bud. And with the next painting too, it was like, I've kind of reached the end of where I can learn right now on this. And I need to kind of switch it up and do something different to just shake up how I'm drawing and how I'm painting, if that makes sense. So I don't know in what order these paintings are being released, but I did do the Gavin paint. I did one painting after this, and then I did the Gavin Graham painting for this background, and I switched back to Photoshop to soft brushes, but also using their hard brush and using a textured mixer, I guess, and starting to play around a little bit with the like Photoshop layers and all that. Again, I've used Photoshop for so long. I'm very good at Photoshop and its layer and all that stuff, but I just wanted to learn how to paint and not how to hide painting with technical marvels. So that's why, like I'm a one brush dude on this, and just, this is what you get, and only starting to incorporate some of that stuff back in as I feel that I need an extra boost or I can handle it, that sort of thing. Even this one is kind of different in the way that in some of the ones I did, I was using different layers and kind of putting them together. When I was first starting this type of painting in Krita, I was putting everything on just one layer, and just, it's just like, figure it out. And that's a great way to learn, Again, so I'm happy with this. It turned out the way it did. I like it. Again, I'm not someone that's going to constantly sit back and just go, it's crap. It's crap. Because you're an artist, you always think everything you do is crap. There were parts of it that I liked, parts of it that I didn't. But the point is, I have this cool background now. Now, some of the stuff that I did do to kind of spice it up. I'm very big on like textures, grit. I don't like a clean look. And so I have access to a lot of good textures and that sort of thing that I've purchased or free use and that sort of thing. And so what I do is I add them to the background. It's probably going to go by too fast when we're seeing it in Photoshop. But see, this one I don't think I did so good on. And I feel bad for the actress because this is kind of an homage to her. I like her and I like the role she did, but yeah, this one was one where I was a little too quick. But anyways, and just playing around with like how much of that grit and texture comes through, but still making it look kind of old. And in the Gavin one, I actually stumbled upon something right at the very end that just like completely changed the painting. It was beautiful. So, yeah, so that's kind of a little bit of QSMB lore plus why I chose to do this. QSMB is about pushing boundaries, and I think as a creative, you should be. You know, the Chase Jarvis and Brene Brown have had some wonderful conversations, and I forget which one who said it, but they mentioned when it comes to creativity, whatever scares you the most is what you're supposed to be doing, because that's the closest to kind of your authentic self. And so a lot of this scares me. I temper myself with the fact that ain't nobody waiting for this stuff. You know, nobody's out there going, boy, I wonder when the next QSMB thing is going to drop. In a few years, maybe somebody's watching this video and going, come on, you're an idiot. There's tons of people who are waiting for you now. But I mean, I'm here at the beginning, gentle viewer, and there's nobody, and that's fine. It takes time and persistence and authenticity to create your vision. And whether or not people respond to it is somebody will, right? Like, I think I've explained this before, but like, you will find your audience eventually. It may, maybe you were really hoping for a giant audience and it's not going to be a giant audience for what you're doing, but you will find your audience. And so yeah, but right now, nobody is clamoring for any of this, and that's fine. I'm just doing it because it challenges me creatively. It's very unique and different. There's nobody out there who's writing a political / introspective societal satire with wrestlers as the framing, let alone painting obscure wrestling media posters as digital goodies for you to purchase, supporting a independent artist. There's nobody doing that, so I'm having fun with all of it, and that's kind of the point. Like, yeah, obviously I wish this thing would make me lots of money right away, and so that I don't have to be a part of the capitalistic rat race anymore and choose my own destiny and all that. But yeah, it's gonna take a while to find the audience. It's gonna take and to see if the audience is big enough for that. So in the meantime, let's just play and have fun, and to challenge yourself creatively, and to just do things that are authentic to yourself, and scare you, like putting my paintings out there, putting my writing out there. Like I'm recording shows where I'm doing goofy voices and putting my humor on and all that, and it's all going to be judged by the internet, and it's all not going to be good. And that's the pains and arrows that you have to live with as an artist. But the alternative is to not create, and I can't really live like that. So I'm absolutely willing to do this kind of stuff. So here it is, pretty much finished. I make the ropes thinner because I want to see the rest, or I want to see the crowd a little more, knowing that depending on the portrait I create and where I put it, it's going to block people. But this is kind of the template, and so I was quite happy with it. It's cool. There you go. So thank you for listening for like 30 minutes, and God bless.